Here's another fine episode of Coffee with the Kays. I am Josh Kaye. Make sure that you hit subscribe right now so you never miss any future episodes, alright? In this episode, we have a lot of fun discussing some of the new coffee that we've been trying out lately, and then we talk about the importance of using the metronome and the benefits of using the metronome in your music studies. We talk about how from beginner to advanced to intermediate, everyone in between, how important steady timing is and how you can develop that steady timing and how that helps you to have a better feel in the music that you're creating. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing an instrument or you're singing, that steady time is so crucial to creating that beautiful music that we love to hear. We also talk about perfection. Do we need perfection in music? Are we required to be perfect in music? And we talk about that and what that means. And then, of course, we're in the off season, but we talked a little bit of football at the end. We got a little bit passionate, as you know, we're passionate Cleveland Browns fans, and we had a fun discussion about that towards the end. All right, so make sure you hit subscribe, like, share this episode with everyone. It's going to be a great time. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Coffee with the Kays. These are the Kays. We have coffee. Welcome to our podcast.
Yes.
We're going to clink.
Clink. Go get your coffee and join us for Coffee with the Kays. We're going to talk about a bunch of interesting stuff today.
Yeah.
First, coffee.
Let's talk about the coffee. What do we got?
I have the missing Guatemalan.
The missing Guatemalan.
This is Guatemala Huhutengo.
I'm not doing it. I'm not saying it. No, I have no idea.
Huhutengo.
We could say that. Sure.
It's probably wrong.
So we went to buy Guatemalan coffee at Publix
As is our
the last
custom.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
and they don't have any.
Yeah.
Kyle's like, man, people are listening to the podcast
Because they're buying up the Guatemalan.
They're buying up all
That's
the
it.
Guatemalan.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, what's funny is we like that Gavalier Guatemalan. And so they have the signature roast and the kind that you mix and you get the latte of the and then they've got the Costa Rican and the blank shelf and the breakfast blend and like another
the blank
one.
shelf is the Guatemalan.
Is the Guatemalan. They have like 6 different types.
So they have the Costa Rican too, and they don't have the Guatemalan?
Right.
Oh, wow. Because
Yes.
normally it's like those two. If they're out of both
no.
of those, it's at the same
No,
time.
and it's been 2 weeks in a row, so
It's
what
a
I figured
conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
That's it.
So he's drinking this Guatemala, which is from Starbucks. It's Starbucks Reserve.
Yeah, so
There you go.
the thing about this that is interesting. So this is the Starbucks Reserve roast, right? And it's not just like your average,
Starbucks
run-of-the-mill Starbucks coffee, right? This is their specialty reserve they have in select cities around the world. This one came from their New York roastery. But coffee leaf rust is rampant all throughout Central America.
He's smelling it for those of you listening to us.
Yes. So this coffee leaf rust is just running rampant throughout Central America and parts of South America, and it's been destroying coffee farms. And it's a really
Maybe
big
that's
deal.
what's wrong with the Guatemalan in the supermarket. Maybe they can't get it.
It could
So
could
nobody's
be.
listening to our podcast.
That's what it is. Yeah. Stop. But this new version is a type of rust tolerant variety of these coffee beans that they're trying to, and botanists have been studying this for years to try to come up with strains of coffee that would be resistant to this rust.
It won't kill
Because
us.
it's really bad because it's destroying people's livelihoods and stuff, because they can't harvest. These crops are getting destroyed. So this is the first iteration of this new rust resistant.
Was that a new word?
You proud of me for using big boy words? Yeah. There we go. So, what do you think? This rust tolerant?
That's good.
Is it good? Does it live up to your expectation?
Guatemalan
of Guatemalan?
expectations.
Yeah.
Tastes like Guatemalan.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm having Swiss mocha almond from Boyer's. So I like Boyer's. Boyer's is the school that coffee built. They build schools using proceeds from Boyer's coffee, which is roasted in Colorado, and they support communities in South America that grow coffee beans, and they build schools, which is kind of
Where's
nice.
the sniffer? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's
it's
yummy.
really yummy.
And the
There's
minute
not
I
much
opened the
left.
bag, I was like,
it's
oh.
cocoa and nutty, of course, Swiss cocoa almond. Or I also have like a coconut cream. I like their flavored coffee, but I also like they have a lot of single origin organic roasts. The Mexican Chiapas is probably my favorite.
Mexican
also.
Chiapas.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah,
So
that's
anyway,
good. That's good.
yummy coffee. Hope you have some good coffee going.
Yeah. And if you
Yes.
don't have good coffee, go try some of these that we suggest for you. So.
How's it going, guys?
I got 2 drummers that are going on to play more interesting stuff.
That's very
That's good.
exciting.
They got out of the first few books and started stepping it up, and they're attempting some Led Zeppelin Mothership.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And I got a lady that's probably my age, or I think she's a year younger than me, and she's kicking butt on the jazz.
All right.
She's looking forward to doing some Led Zeppelin, so
Cool.
I'm pretty happy about that. Makes it more fun when you're doing the more advanced stuff.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I think you had me sit in on one of your students this week, and when you asked me how it went afterwards, that was my first reaction. Was, oh, it was fun, because it's like, I love teaching my beginners. Don't get me wrong, all my beginning students out there. But definitely, like, when you start doing more challenging stuff, like we were doing the 16th note triplets on the bass drum, from the
Carmen or Peach.
Yeah, that's it. And to be able to do that and play it with them was definitely, it's a lot more fun. Being able to do more challenging.
And
But I
hasn't
wish-
he come a long way?
Oh, big
as
time.
a student?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
I mean, from not really knowing anything to doing 16th note triplets on the bass drum.
Yeah.
At 85 beats per minute.
Yeah,
And it's summer, and he's still doing well. He's
Yes.
having good lessons, which we get sometimes, it's difficult, but we've been having some good summer lessons this year.
yeah. I will say this. We've talked about this. Like, if you go back and listen to past episodes around this time, we always talk about it. We even had an episode called the Summer Slump, right? Where
Yep.
we talked about what happens. And like, I'm gonna knock on wood. This is real wood.
Hey, Mike can sync that up.
The mic will
That's
pick
it.
it
I
up.
know the mic will pick it up. I know this way. It was real light. But all of my students have been doing pretty well, and even the ones that have taken off and gone to vacation or whatnot and come back. They kind of know. Like, I told them, I kind of prepped them ahead of time. Like, okay, you're gonna take this vacation. You're not taking your instrument. I want you to have fun and all that. But you gotta, when you get back,
Get
you gotta
ready to
get
work.
right back into the
Yep.
swing of things. You gotta make yourself practice, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to get going. And so then they come to that first lesson and they're like, yeah, I know, I got to get back. And I'm like, no, but make it happen, make it a priority. And then they've been doing it, and
That's good.
It seems like it's working out, pretty well. So.
I wish that the very beginning drummers could see and talk to some of these drummers you're talking about now that are kind of doing more advanced thing, because they come in and the expectation is not. They get excited, I'm going to play the drums, and they get their sticks and they sit at the drum set, and then they're doing syncopation.
Right.
And they're doing it at, 56? Or
Yeah,
do you do
trying to
60?
play with a metronome.
Trying to play with the metronome, and they're doing quarter notes and quarter rests, and then eighth notes and quarter notes, and they get frustrated, I think, some of them. And they don't always, especially the kids, I don't think they always see where that's going to take them.
Or why is that important?
And why? So tell us, Ron,
Yeah.
why is that important?
I had a student this week tell me, well, I don't usually play that slow.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, oh, really? This is a smile comes upon my face.
How about that?
Let's sneak that baby up a little bit. I put it up to I don't know,
102.
Oh, was it that high?
Yes, it was.
Was it really?
Yeah, play that, and it wasn't in time.
Right.
Do you hear that it's not in time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't play it slow in time, you're not going to play it faster in time. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's an ear training tool. And if
Absolutely.
you can set your inner clock by using a metronome, then when you're playing music, you know where you're at in the meter, and you speed up or slow down to make it work wherever you're at.
Well, and I really think you gain control, and it's not just
Yes.
the drums, but I see it with piano too. You get more control if you're playing slow. You're making yourself have to play it slow, not just this is how I play. And then you get so that you can play it slow, then you can play it medium, then you can play it fast.
Well, what I always say is 56 is painfully slow. I mean, it's really, really slow. But there's so much more space in between the beats to put the note in the wrong place.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know, when you're going real fast, you can put it in the wrong place, but your window of opportunity to spot it gets smaller the faster you go.
That's right.
So if you increase the tempo, you better have good hearing, because, you know, you're not going to be able to pick it up. And, you know, an educated ear can hear it. Like, I was hearing that flam thing going on with that student in the metronome.
Right.
You know.
Well, and it's not just the educated ear, but it's also the experienced ear, right?
Yeah.
And you know, when you get more experience with your playing and practicing, and as you continue to gain skills, then you start knowing what to listen for. You know, it's one of the things teaching Mr. Crane, you know, when there's been many times where I've pointed things out to him and he'll like, oh man, now I hear it. I didn't even know it was there the whole time, and I didn't even hear it, you know. And he's like,
You're not making this stuff up.
That's it. I know. But it's funny, what I enjoy about teaching him is like not everybody like vocalizes that, you know, but he'll be like, oh, I didn't even know to even listen for that in the first place. And it's like, well, now I know, so now I'm going to listen to that and listen for that, you know, issue or whatever and fix it. And you know, so that's the thing is like, as you gain more experience, you start knowing what to listen for to even tell if you're doing it right or not. You know, it's so many times you focus so much on the movements, the physical, especially with drums, but with guitar it's the same thing. You know how your body is supposed to move to be able to produce the sound you're trying to produce. And when you're trying to go fast, you just focus on moving your body faster.
Right.
And not necessarily making music.
That's exactly right.
And
That's it.
feel comes from the metronome.
Yes.
You know, how important is it to be able to feel the music properly and interpret it properly? You know, without training on the metronome, that's you know, like this student told me, you know, I said, well, do you use a metronome? No.
Yeah.
Why don't you use the metronome? I'm my own metronome.
That's it.
Are you really?
Okay.
Okay, I like that
Yeah,
concept. Let's look into
good.
that concept.
Right.
And then after she couldn't play it faster or slower,
Yeah.
like, so how's that working out for you?
How's your own metronome? Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like we always talk about using a metronome being a perfect standard, right? And then, you know, we as human beings, like I'll tell people all the time that, you know, the only thing in your body that can compare to the metronome that's constant all the time is your heart. Your heart is constantly beating, because if it's not beating, you're dead, right? So your heart beats all the time. And that is our natural standard for steady timing, but our heartbeat's not steady, right?
Especially mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we got all the AFib people here. You know, I can relate. Yeah,
That's why I can hear those triplets.
that's what it is. Oh man!
Some of you aren't laughing with us.
No,
it's okay. You can laugh. It's good.
But that's the thing is like I remember talking to a student the first time I started using a heart monitor.
Oh.
I remember telling him about just the interesting experience that was. That, you know, I would set out running and my heart rate would be a certain, you know, level, and I'd, you know, push to get it, and it would shoot up,
yes.
you know, and stuff. And you know how it fluctuated so much, and it was just fascinating to me. I was jogging in the park, and it was like 140, 150, somewhere around there. And then a pretty lady jogged onto the track. And that was it. I was like that. It was a 170. It's like, it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh. You know?
Now Josh is six shades of it.
I know. Tell
But
them
I
embarrassing
definitely,
stories.
this week I have told several students this thing about the heart rate, because I noticed that some of my older students that are my age, I'm talking older, that our resting heart rate is around what? What's your resting heart rate?
Yeah, it's usually about 70.
It's usually about 70, 72 is very average, 69, 68 to 72. So they'll come in and I'll say, so what do you want to play this song at on the piano? And I will hear inevitably I do best at 72. 72.
Uh-huh.
And then, the kids don't want to play. 72 is too slow.
It's too slow.
They would like to go 85, 90.
That's
and if you
because
check their resting heart
as you
rate.
age, your heart rate slows down.
Yes.
So when you're a kid, it's like a hummingbird. It's
Right.
just whipping away. As you get older, it slows down a little bit. That's why kids have a hard time relating to playing it slow.
They have a
So,
harder
like,
time.
Think grandma. and
There you
grandpa.
go.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
old.
That
you
was
know.
something because
Yeah.
one of the students, his dad was in the lesson, and he was like, "That is so fascinating." And I said, "I don't know if it's a true science, but it seems to play out."
No,
And
it
really
does. Yeah.
It seems to. But now, my one lady that was always 72, 72, now she has embraced 60.
Yeah.
Because in piano, we do 60, 80, 100. You do 56, 76, 96.
Yep.
But she's really like embraced 60. She's gotten it.
wonderful.
It's taken a year, but
Yeah.
she totally understands if I can play it slow and I can count it and play what I'm counting, I'm going to get it.
See, this is a concept throughout all drumming that if you can play it accurately slow, then you can play it accurately fast.
Right.
So all these great guys on Instagram and whatnot, they'll tell you the same thing. Get a metronome, put it on really slow, and work through it slowly. Then gradually increase the speed, and you'll play it more accurately.
Yeah.
Plus, you always
That's
train
it.
in your ear to be able to hear.
Well, and that
on
goes
the
back
rock.
to what I was saying, that that's the experience that comes into play, because the more that you do that, you do train your ear, and then you know what to listen for. So then it's easier for you to tell when you're off, when you're playing faster. If you're making mistakes or getting off, you can tell better the more that you've trained. And that's what I
Yeah.
tell people. The metronome is a training tool.
It's a
you know?
training
Training
tool.
tool.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the idea is not like, of course, when you go to play on stage or, perform or whatnot, you're not going to use the metronome. But the reason why is because you have trained yourself to have that sense of steady timing and to create that good feel in the music. And that's what you use the metronome for. Then you can turn it off and you can rely on your training,
Right.
because that's what you've done. It's not just an innate sense that you have, like, this
Unless
girl
you're
was saying.
Led Zeppelin, who plays everything live,
Yeah, yeah.
15, 20 beats
I know,
faster.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
Which
it.
and that still sounds good then.
Yes.
So
Well, there's
whatever
still-
they're doing works.
There's
but-
still a cohesive unit. I would say, there was probably some substances that's contributed to that.
well, there could be.
Some enhancement.
They're consummate professionals. They
Oh
never-
yeah, they know. I know.
But we were talking about this even yesterday about students embracing the fact that they could play it slow. And I many times with piano students, they'll play it at 60 and I'll say, okay, did you try it at home at 80? And they'll say, no, but I'll try it now. And then they usually get it.
They get it.
Because they've already gotten all the muscle memory and everything done, with that at that tempo. So I wish the beginning students could really get a window into some of where they could go with it and realize that they need to persevere at this beginning part.
There are some students we have that they don't like using the metronome.
Right.
Some downright refuse to use the metronome.
Yeah.
They'll lie to you and tell you, "Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
yeah, I
Sure,
did."
I practiced." But then, of course, they can't do it.
Right. Right.
And I just like want to sigh.
Yeah.
Like, boy, you just shooting yourself in the foot, man. The metronome is the best thing you could do to be able to ensure that you're going to play it accurately.
Yeah.
They ask me, well, do you count all the time when you play? I'm like, no, I rarely count when I play because I get the meter in my head,
Yeah.
When I play, I'm hearing the meter and my hearing is adjusted, so.
And see, it's funny because you say that, and then people will ask me the same question, and my answer is yes, I'm counting all the
That's
time.
because you
And
got
I-
her genes.
And I am too.
Yeah,
I
I
am
mean,
counting all
there's
the time.
there's definitely, like, if I'm playing something that is not supposed to be, like, if it's free, kind of free expression
yeah.
kind of stuff, of course, now I'm not counting at that point. I'm keeping track of where the beginning of each measure is,
Right.
But yeah, I'm not counting because it's not supposed to be played that way, But especially when I'm playing drums, I am counting all the time, and I will even think I'm not counting and catch myself counting. It's like a subconscious thing.
And that's just the opposite with happens to a lot of students is they start out counting
And then they
and
stop.
they forget about counting,
Right.
and then they make a mistake because they're not counting. You know?
That's it.
Well, I'll hear you say, "Are you counting?" And then the honest ones will say, "Well, some of the time." Like
No,
they
my
start
favorite one. Trying to.
Yeah,
trying to.
We'll try harder. No,
that's when the Yoda poster
that's
comes
the
out.
Yoda. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
No,
That's
100%.
it.
Because you either do it or you don't. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. No, and it's funny because my more experienced students, when they hit me with that, and I'll hit them with that. Okay, now come on. You either did it or you didn't. Then they usually laugh because they know. Yeah, the answer is you didn't do it. Yeah, that's it.
Well, and one of the things with beginning piano, okay, with even the adult books, beginning piano, their finger numbers are important, right? Thumbs are one,
Oh,
1,
right.
2, 3, 4, 5. And a lot of the beginning songs, especially with the kid books, it's just the finger numbers on the notes. And so you're not reading the staff just yet in the first couple units, but you're getting, the purpose is to get the right form on the keys, to play with the metronome, to be able to watch the music and all that stuff. But it's finger numbers. And then you're
right.
teaching them to count. And
Yeah.
so I really used to not really teach them to count, but just to say the finger numbers. I've stopped doing that.
I've stopped doing
Yeah.
that.
I've told them, look, your brain can do this.
Yeah.
You can look at that and see that that's a 2, but that's beat number 1. And I promise you, they can do it. The
Well, and
6-year-olds
a lot
can
of
do
times it's a pattern. It's a finger pattern.
Yes.
And you're just watching the notes and doing the finger pattern.
Right.
And you know what I've started doing, I've changed so much of how I used to teach piano.
it. I have too, yeah.
And over the years, you know, but I've started, like, if they're getting the hang of the finger movements, I want to get them to reading the notes on the staff. So
Right.
I'm just like, okay, let's just push
Get
through
through.
this. It's the real deal. It's
Well,
the,
some of the little guys, though, they need that repetition. Because I was telling a mom yesterday, her daughter is little. She's 6. I maybe just turned 7. And she's really is struggling with the form. I mean,
Yeah.
it was only her second or third lesson. But she's little. She's going to have some dexterity issues. But we're not going to not correct her and not try to get the good form. Good form is so important in every instrument. It's the good form and good technique. It's going to carry you through.
I even had a older student this week who's been taking lessons. I think we figured out she's been taking lessons for 8 years, and that was the thing, is like, as long as she's been playing and she's got the experience, she's gotten away from some of the fundamentals, you know, like we always start slow and then go fast, right? But because she could sight read fairly well now, you know, she puts the metronome on 80 or 100 to start,
Instead of starting slow.
instead of starting at
Yeah.
60 or 56 and working it up. And then the problem is she'll go through, stumble a few times, you know, and get through and like, okay, yeah, I messed that up. She knows what she did. Okay, go back, and she does it again and just kind of sort of fumbles through it again. But this time it wasn't as many fumbles as the last time. And it, you know, and so, all right, well, we're getting repetition, but we're also making the same mistakes.
Right.
And, you know, if you keep doing this, yeah, eventually you'll straighten it out. But how long is that going to take? Whereas if you could just slow it down
Right.
and get it right, you know, and then drill it right and then go faster,
Right.
you know, then that's going to take a significant less amount of time than, you know, fumbling through and, oh, let me try it again, and fumbling through, and, oh, let me try again, and fumbling through. You know, just take the time to do it right the first time, you know.
Well, I really think students over the years that embrace that idea, I'm going to go slow first and get this down, they have greater success, because they will move quicker through the method, because they're getting the idea and they're gaining the skills quicker than just trying to shortcut it.
That's it.
So yeah, it's good, very good. Good
Awesome.
stuff. Good
Okay.
practice stuff.
All right, well, I guess we'll
Excellent.
take a break right there, and we'll be right
Ron
back.
Kaye's music instruction has been trusted by thousands in Pensacola to learn, play, and love music. Our strong passion for teaching music provides expert knowledge and guidance, which helps you succeed and have fun with your music lessons. Whether it's a bucket list dream or a desire to enhance your child's life, our music lessons are the answer. Call 850-453-9966 now. Realize your musical dreams. Visit musiclessonspensacola.com today.
All right, and we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
Nice break. Got my soda.
So you got this great Instagram post.
So I was talking to some students this week about the idea of perfection in music. And the problem is we really are expected,
As teachers, to be perfect.
just musicians.
As musicians
It-
in general.
no,
Teachers,
okay, so-
you have musicians, then you have teachers, which are,
have to be more perfect.
that's the truth. Saying in performing like concerts or recitals, we pack up all this equipment ourselves, which takes
Oh, yeah.
hours
Yeah.
to break everything down, pack it up, get to where you're going. A lot of times you have to carry it because you can't go close to the stage. You got to
yeah.
carry it through a crowd or a parking lot
Right.
or whatever. Then you got to set it all up on the stage. Hopefully there's no shorts in the chords and
Oh,
everything's
Right,
working.
right.
No, of course.
Or you're not relying on the sound people that are there because they really don't know,
They
what,
don't
they're
know
doing.
what they're doing.
And then you perform and they're expecting everything to be perfect.
Yes.
And it's like, you got to be kidding me, man. You know?
Oh.
I mean, I understand that you want to hear perfection from your teacher, but you know, we are human beings too, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
so
The thing that he's saying is that when it comes to music in general, we expect 100% perfection.
In fact, we typically expect nothing less than perfection from musicians. In most schools in the United States, something like a 90% average gets you a grade in the A range. That means you can get 10% of the answers wrong on an exam, or not turn in 10% of your homework, assuming the other homework is perfect, and still be considered a top performer. That doesn't seem to work in music.
Not at all.
No.
No, because what happens if you only hit 90% of the notes correct?
you suck.
That's it.
Absolutely. That is it. And that's something I
That's
was
it.
talking to students about this week too. I said, like a quarterback, professional quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I use this analogy
All the time? What's a good quarterback rating?
Well, shoot, I mean, like, you know, even a 78, 79, you know, rating
Right.
is really good.
And really, as a musician, as a singer, if I'm only doing 78% of the notes well and
Yeah.
accurate and pleasing to your ear, I would be a terrible singer. And so it really becomes, I'm very picky with my singers, and then I tell them this is why.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, they're listening to these singers that they're maybe singing along with, who have made a studio album.
Oh, yeah.
And they've pitch corrected in the studio and done all this
And
stuff.
put all kinds of effects on their voice,
yeah.
Yeah.
and they've
Oh, yeah.
and they've had how many takes to get one
all
song?
of, you know, why don't I
25?
sound like Jason Mraz when I sing this song?
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm always telling students that these professional singers, they are professional singers.
Yeah, they're professionals for a reason.
They should
yeah.
make it look easy. That's their job. That's why, professional football players, they make it look easy. They
Yeah.
throw the ball, the guy catches it. Can anybody do that? No, I can't do that because I haven't practiced it 1,600 times,
Well, I've had this happen to me before where I'm teaching students and I'll demonstrate something and then they go, you make it look so easy,
Yeah.
That's your job.
And that was it. At one point, I told a student, well, that's because it is. Like, not to sound egotistical,
so
but
good.
at this point, I mean,
Well, when
wouldn't
you
you
put
want...
in that amount of practice,
That's
you
the
get the
yes.
same result.
And wouldn't you want, as your instructor, it to be easy for me?
Yes.
Because then I'm the one that's teaching you. But besides that, yeah, I've done it 100,000 times.
And what
you know?
happens when your mother says, Josh, step in here just a minute
Oh yeah, that's always funny.
at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
and I need you to
I'm
hit
not
this
warmed
high
up
G.
at all. Just,
For
just
this
sing
student.
it. Just sing it.
Just
You
sing
know?
this part.
Yeah.
Just sing this part real quick. And
It's funny.
but the good thing is he usually comes through.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I've been
he
getting
does.
better at that.
He's been getting better at making sure he's warmed up when he knows I'm in a voice.
I know.
lesson.
Yeah. Hey, can you come in here a minute? And I'm in the back going. No, 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 no. No. Okay, here we go.
It's good though. And it should, because we've put in the 1,000 of hours that we needed to put in to do it. So anyway, let me just get you his name. His name is David Asher Brown, and this is a good clip because what he also does is he plays a Michael Jackson song. Mm-hmm. Like just it's like a 10-second clip,
Right.
and then he plays it with 10% mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
you could hear
it is so great to
Yeah.
hear that comparison. So I would encourage you to do that. And I have this. I could send it to anybody that wants it.
I think the reason is because music is so special to mankind, that it's a treasured thing.
that's great.
And
It is.
That's
Yeah.
why you want to hear perfection.
Yeah.
Whenever we listen to musicians, especially live musicians,
Yeah.
I want to hear perfection.
Right.
And, it may not always be there, but that's what thrills me.
Yeah.
That's why going to Nashville and
I was
listening to
just
those
thinking
people
that.
play in Nashville, you're like, that's
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there is something to be said for it. I think that for people like us, music teachers, we really appreciate it. I think sometimes more than just the average person, because all we do all the time is critique, right?
Yes.
Well,
that's it.
we analyze, we critique, we come up with ways that things could be better, and when you can listen to professional musicians and there's not much to say, there's something just really amazing about that, and really
rewarding.
Yes.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, and
Yes,
you're
it
like,
is.
there it is,
That's it.
that's.
And then what do I usually say? They had a good teacher.
Oh yeah. There you go.
And then there was those bands you hear where the crowd's been drinking
Oh yes,
and they're
crowd's
oblivious
loving it
to the fact that these guys sound terrible.
I know.
But when it serves a purpose, you're
Well,
entertaining. those
And
that's
it's fun.
the thing,
Sometimes
like,
it's just meant to be fun.
Right,
Yes.
and that's the thing too. Is like sometimes it's just making music is a special thing, and whatnot.
is.
But I think where we all kind of come from is like, if you're gonna do it, you want to do it right.
Right.
If you're gonna make music, make it perfect, make it good. As close to perfection as you can be. You're
Right.
gonna enjoy it more that way too. You're gonna enjoy more of what you're doing when it sounds good.
There's a God thing about playing music in time.
Mm-hmm.
When you play in time, the music has more power. It has more effect on humans.
Yeah.
What makes toes tap and what makes your head nod and all that stuff is because that stuff's in time.
Yeah.
If you played it like Bazio does those arrhythmic drum solos and stuff, it's like irritating. It's take the sticks away from that guy.
It's a higher form, okay?
Yeah.
Because it really helps us understanding
Yeah.
this existentialism that we live in.
That's like the atonal solos.
No, man. It's it's like
Let's take away the order.
What is music? John Cage, okay, he had his transcendent experience when he went inside a sound deprivation chamber, because when you're in a sound deprivation chamber, they say that like you can actually hear your organs and stuff. Like you can hear the blood running.
I imagine
through
you
your
can
veins
hear
and stuff,
quite a bit of
Yeah.
stuff, like your mind just dumps.
Well, and that was the thing. And so with his meditation and all that stuff, and then being in that tank, that was his like transcendent experience. So then it's like, well, who determines which sounds are music and which sounds aren't? And that's where it kind of started stretching this
Idea of music. Yeah.
right? And with some of this arrhythmic stuff, like it's the same kind of thing with Charles Ives for the orchestra, where you got one half of the orchestra is playing in one key and the other half's playing in a different key, right? And to the listener, it might sound like garbage, but for the musicians playing it, that's
It's really
incredibly
fascinating.
challenging. Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
it.
it is when
and
it-
it's a
it's
whole
very
nother
interesting.
skill. So like with the arrhythmic thing, being able to maintain some semblance of order in your own mind of what you're doing.
I'm sure it's a challenge. It's just
super
not
cha-
appealing.
Yeah, that's the issue. So then that's where I come back around to, okay, so that's all great, but who wants to hear that?
Right.
Who wants to listen to
Yeah,
that?
and I really believe
How many
that-
million records are sold of
Yeah.
atonal
Yeah.
solos,
Yeah.
arrhythmic solos?
and both really, yeah.
No, 100%, and it's not to discredit that as an art form, but it's just one facet of the art form.
It's
And
kind of far out there.
I don't. It would be, but it's similar to Jackson Pollock, right? It's the same kind of thing. You're gonna say that's not art. Well, yeah, it's art. It's random, but there's artistic qualities
Elements,
elements to it. It's just one facet of it. It's
Okay.
not the whole thing.
So we're gonna stop now, and we're all gonna contemplate our belly buttons.
yes,
Okay, there we go.
we could do that.
Why do we have it?
Why
is
do we
yours
have
different from mine? You know? Is that lint?
Yeah.
You're so jeez.
And I think that it's I don't think it's fair. What I object to is people that try to say that that's like a higher form.
Yeah.
Right, that's a better form of musical understanding, interpretation. You know, because I'm up here appreciating all of this,
Yes.
and you're
Yeah.
down there with the Beatles. You know what I mean?
Ah.
Like, it's, you and your 4 chords. You know, like,
3 sometimes.
yeah.
And then there's that too, that, you know, like their Instagram posts of the guys, you learn these 3 or 4 chords, you can play any song.
Yeah.
I think Ed Sheeran did one of those.
Oh yeah.
And he plays like 20
Oh, yeah.
different songs.
Yeah.
He
It's
Have the
just
same
uses
3 chords.
3
Yeah.
chords, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God.
Absolutely. But you know, but that kind of thing, that also, you know, kind of fascinates me too, is that like, yeah, you can have all these songs that all sound different, that all have different feels and different emotions and, you know, and whatnot, that have the same 3 chords. You know, that's a really cool thing to me. And it's
Well,
That's
music
the human
itself
element
is,
right there. Yeah.
music is limited,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, there's only so many notes. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I made a comment one time to somebody about, you know, a certain song sounding the same as another song. And, you know, there's always lawsuits and stuff going on where everybody's saying, you know, you stole my songs and all this stuff. And well, that was the Ed Sheeran, Marvin Gaye lawsuit.
Yeah.
Was it? And ultimately the decision was you can't copyright a chord progression, right? Like,
Right,
you know, the
right.
chord progression is the chord progression. And the reason why is, and this was the person I was talking to, she was like, everybody's going to sound like everybody at some point.
Yeah.
Because there's only 12 tones in a scale.
We were just doing that the other day. We were listening to something, and I was like, hey, that song's like...
Oh,
you know,
yeah. It was on TV. Wasn't it a TV show?
No, we were
song?
listening to Lawrence, and there was a song
Oh,
they
yeah,
did
yeah.
that sounded like a Disney
Yeah,
song.
several
Yeah,
songs.
yeah,
That's
that was
it.
funny.
Yeah, Dad
Yeah.
started singing Pocahontas.
Yeah, that's it. There's a little bit of that in there. Yeah.
That's
Well, but you know, like I think that it's not always bad, because you know, and that becomes, you know, part of the issue, because you're going to, when you create music and, you know, you participate in the creative process, you're going to create based on stuff that you're inspired by, right?
Right.
So when music that you listen to that inspires you, that influence is going to show up in your music. And I don't think that it's possible to make something that's like 100% completely innovative. Nobody has ever sounded like this ever.
Unless you listen to K-Struction.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. K-Struction is an album by Ron Kaye. Go check it out on all streaming platforms.
Yes.
Yes. But
It is unique.
It is
It
unique.
is.
It is unique. But you know, that's you know, that's the thing, is like you're going to have influence from the things that you listen to.
That's
in
what's
your
good.
stuff, you know, yeah.
It is
Everybody has a different way of shuffling the cards, you
That's
know?
what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So
That's it.
you know.
So
something to be
talking about
appreciated.
football. Oh,
Oh,
Oh, really? That was an interesting segue. Okay. Just-
well, we
right to
usually
the chase.
I know,
we usually
right?
talk a little bit, and I thought, well, here we'll just wrap it up with.
I
a
know.
little-
See,
a
but
little
I was
encapsulated-
nervous about it, because I'm like, I got, you know, I'm all into sports and everything. We got the Olympics coming up, and there's all this
Yeah,
stuff going
Olympic
on. I want to
year.
talk all about this, but then, you know, like,
you
too
go
much
right
about
to football.
sports, you know? Yeah.
Well, we usually do a little bit. We are going to get ready to do our
Fantasy
league.
Have you
That'll
done
be
a mock
coming
draft
up.
yet?
No.
Only
no.
10 players allowed.
Yeah.
You know,
In
not
the
going
Ron
above
Kaye,
10,
yes.
so, you know.
See, yeah, well, that's cool.
We could
We'll
do
that.
multiple
That'll be
leagues,
fun.
though.
That'll
We
be
could have a
fine.
Ron K2.
I'm at the place right now where I'm really, I enjoy the bigger leagues, and and like a draft, like a 20. I was in a 20-person league last year.
Oh no way.
Man, it's
Okay.
like, how do you know when they're coming around to you? Like, walk away.
No, that's
come
yeah.
back,
I think it took an hour and a half to do.
Oh
it.
my
gosh.
Yeah, it was
I don't
long.
have that
It was
much
long.
time.
I won the league though.
And you're on your second pick, and
Yeah.
there's nobody left.
No, but that's the challenge. That's what's
Yes.
fun about it, because then
That's
you
not
have to
fun.
know. Yeah, see, for me, that was the fun fun of it, because then you have to know the second string, third string running backs, and the backup tight ends, and stuff like that. And I won that league. I won the whole thing. And
because
I was
all
pretty
the top
excited
guys
about
got
that.
hurt last year. So
Yeah, well, that's what happens, and
Yeah.
that's the fun of doing a bigger league like that, is because then if it depends on your depth. But that being said,
we could do that really. If we get 10 people and we close that league, we could do a second one.
yeah.
There's no
we'll see.
rule
We'll see.
against it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We don't
I'm gonna
have to-
do one for
you
my
don't have to be
school.
crazy.
They're
like
talking
me.
about Patrick Mahomes being able to get another Super Bowl ring this year.
Yeah. Well,
that's
because
it.
you see who's on his team. I mean,
He's got some talented
he's-
guys if they stay healthy.
That's the whole thing. But I really do like how Miami looks, and I don't care what people say. I still think Tua's a good quarterback, and they've got
he had a good
OBJ,
year. Yeah.
and they've got Hill and Waddle, and who else? They signed somebody else recently that was huge. I don't know. I think
That
their
was
team,
OBJ they just signed.
Was it? Yeah, I think their team looks really good this year too. So we'll have to see. But there really isn't anybody better than Patrick Mahomes right now, and so, that's why they're saying that. And
That would be a record.
yeah.
Nobody's ever
What,
done
3
that.
in a row?
Super Bowls? Yeah.
Really? So Tom Brady never had 3 in a row?
No.
Wow. Yeah, I guess he had 2 in a row. He did never have 3. Yeah, somebody.
But he changed teams and won a Super Bowl.
That was the thing.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
just heard
amazing.
somebody
Yeah,
say that the
that's
other
it.
day, because they were talking about as Patrick Mahomes, the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, Tom Brady still is in my book, because, until Patrick Mahomes goes to a different team. Like Tom Brady
Super
did.
Bowl.
Yeah, that was
the
pretty
thing.
amazing.
Tom Brady did the Babe Ruth called shot. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. I always look. People want to talk about who's the best baseball player that ever lived, and I'm sitting there going, Hank Aaron was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when you look at somebody like Babe Ruth, who was calling his shot and doing it like that, and that wasn't, I mean, like, come on, how do you get any better than that? I mean, shoot, the guy was like, what, 70 pounds overweight, and he was still, it didn't even matter because he could just walk the bases every time he was out there. Like, come on. So that's the thing. When you're in a position like that, where Tom Brady was like, I'm going to go to this team and we're going to win a Super Bowl, and it does it.
Yeah.
It was like, I had to, and this is a guy I never liked him. And I see.
You never liked Tom?
Never
No,
liked Tom Brady.
I didn't either until he went to Tampa.
That's it. I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was a cheater. He's a baby. He screams and yells at his players. He would, with the whole Deflategate thing.
Yeah.
And I just,
That was Belichick.
well, and I think that was I said it when he first went to Tampa Bay. I was like, well, now we're going to see. Because I thought everything was Belichick. The reason why they won was all because of Belichick. And then no, I mean when he won, he's like, I don't even care who the coach is. We're gonna win a Super Bowl, and he
You
did
always
it.
liked Tom Brady.
I think he's
Yeah.
a pretty neat guy. You know?
Even
Well,
yeah.
especially I really like a lot of what he's doing now. Now that he's not playing, he's being a lot more vocal about stuff, and I've been really appreciating his takes on a lot of things. And he talks about hard work and talks about teamwork and stuff, and it's been really good. So fun thing here, he's going to be a broadcaster now. And the first game that he's going to broadcast is a Browns game. It's our first Browns game.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh.
And then you always do that like you're not a Browns fan, okay?
What are you talking about? Get excited over that?
Get excited. Come on. We're undefeated right now.
Yeah.
For the next couple days.
That's it. I take, you're always like, oh, glass half full. Yeah, you're darn right, okay? We're Browns fans.
I am so waiting for Deshaun Watson to get out there.
Yeah, I was hoping we could
And
go
get
a whole
hurt.
podcast with
yeah.
him and get hurt.
All right. So here's the thing. I'm going to be even optimistic about that because we have Jameis Winston. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Mini-me.
that's
No,
and we
that's
got
not
that's
Mini-me.
Tyler Huntley.
Tyler
We got
Huntley.
Mini-me. We call him Mini-me because when he played for the Ravens, he was kind of like a mini Lamar Jackson.
He
so
was.
so we referred
Still
to
is.
Huntley as Mini-me. So
So
if
in
you
case
hear it in future podcast episodes, you
Tell
understand.
him. Tell him to listen to us because
it.
we like him.
Yes. So
now he's a Brown.
I'm excited to have Winston and Huntley,
Yes.
and I'm kind of like, if Deshaun Watson gets hurt, and then either one of those guys has to step in, all right,
We're good.
DTR.
Yeah, DTR is coming back. He's been throwing more now. He looks good.
And we're going to have 4
It's
quarterbacks?
like all the
somebody's gonna
all the
get it.
quarterbacks are hurt, but they're ahead of their schedule.
Oh, so I gotta
better.
tell you this: they actually just hired a new head of player health, wellness, and fitness.
So
What does
now
that
he'll
mean?
do what the Haslams tell him to do.
No.
That leg doesn't look broken to me.
No, come on.
Send his
doesn't
ass
look
back out there.
No, what I was. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Come on. No, because they had problems with player fitness, and we said it before. All these soft tissue injuries, there's got to be a problem with the training, right? So they got rid of whoever that was in charge of it. They got somebody new
So
now.
this is like a
I
trainer.
think this is going to be better.
But just because there's a new body doesn't mean that he's going to make any.
Hey, he's got it, but
maybe
if you had a
he's gonna be
problem, and then you
See, I think
rectified the problem.
It all down to how you define being a Browns fan.
Yeah.
See, I grew up being a Browns fan ever since I could remember. Leroy Kelly and all that stuff. Way in the '60s.
Oh, yeah.
When they won the championship and all that. I watched them practice in Berea, and I had a lot of great memories and great experiences growing up with the Browns. When I was out of high school, I used to go sit in the dog pound.
Oh yeah.
With all those crazy people, and I've watched them go through all the heartbreak that they're going through. You were talking about Hugh Jackson.
Oh yeah.
And
oh my God.
We're bleeding at the artery.
Yeah.
Let's keep him. We don't want to get a bad reputation as firing a guy.
Firing coaches.
Coaches every year.
Yeah.
Screw that. The guy needs to go, you moron,
I know.
And so, you're all like high on Stefanski and stuff, and I'm like, he ain't showed me anything, man,
Winning season with 4 different quarterbacks didn't show you anything.
I don't think Stefanski was on the field.
No, but he was calling the plays. I mean,
He
come
was
on.
calling
Yeah, and he
plays.
called a whole bunch of stupid plays.
Yes, he did.
Let's do a razzle-dazzle. You flip it to him, he'll do a end run, then he'll go back the other way, flip it to somebody else, then he'll flip it forward, then he'll flip it backwards, and then we're going to lose about 20 yards.
Yes, that is true. Not to discredit it, but you know what this is, okay? You still haven't forgiven him for the Chubb stepping out of bounds play, okay? You need to let that go.
You're probably right.
You need to let
Probably
that
right,
go.
'cause
That was early in his career. He was young. He was
Chubb is gonna be
inexperienced.
back.
I have,
We need
I have
him
a
back.
lot of respect for Chubb. I
Yes.
think he's
Yes.
one of the greatest running backs ever.
There you go.
But on that day,
Yes.
I didn't have any respect for him.
Yes.
He grew
yes.
since then.
You know,
He
did.
became
He did.
Batman.
He
on
was,
the-
it was a rookie. It was like, I do what the coach tells me to do. So,
Tell the coach, kiss my butt.
Yeah,
man,
well,
you know?
but that he was.
In the game of football, you're supposed to go into the end zone.
I go back to
When you have to explain that to a professional,
They won the game, didn't they? We needed a win. I keep going back to that. If they would have lost that game in overtime or some crap like that, we would have never.
and this argument's like we can't play the preseason games with our starters
same thing,
because
yes.
they're going to get hurt, and then they'll be hurt.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait to the first game, the first official game, to put them out there and
Yeah.
let them get hurt?
Well, see,
Because that's so much better.
We'll be revisiting this because I'm sure that when they do the preseasons, they're not going to play.
We will.
the
So
starters.
stay
Well,
tuned
and
for
you know,
more
it was like
football
it was
fun.
like they added that game. They added another week.
Yeah.
And Stefanski's like, well, this week really doesn't matter.
I know.
You don't have to win. Just show up on the field, man.
I know,
Yeah.
that
And
was
they
bad.
lost.
And then
They
we
were.
lost
They had
terribly.
fire.
man, I know.
They were so
That was
fired
bad.
up, and they had so much
Yeah.
momentum, and everything was going great.
And then we
And
did
they
terrible.
took that week and pissed it down the drain.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was
And
bad.
then they lost.
That was bad. I remember.
That's Stefanski.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so great, man. He
Well,
calls plays in
a
his
lot
sleep.
of the coaches did that at that game.
No, that's what I'm
it
saying.
was
Like it was a
bad.
common thing.
And it was a
wasn't-
bad move
and,
all the way
and,
around.
I mean, like, I'm not a head coach.
Yeah.
The most I ever played was semi-pro, but I had common sense.
Right.
Even in high school,
Yes.
when you're learning how to play
be-
on a team, that
To
was the
be
goal.
fair,
Oh, no.
okay, Kelsey and Mahomes sat out that game too.
Yeah,
So-
but that's Kelsey and Mahomes.
Yeah, they're not
It's
coaches.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
well-
it's a different level. It really is.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about that.
yeah.
So we're going to have a lot of fun this football season. This is just a preview of
We're going
Coffee
to
with the
teach Josh
Kays
how to be a
football.
proper Browns fan.
Yeah, there we go.
You know,
Well, you know,
I'm
and
a fan, so whatever they do, woo!
I know. And see, here's the funny thing. I thought about this earlier today because I'm a Star Wars fan, right? But there's been a lot of new Star Wars stuff that has just really not been very good.
Yeah.
And it's not.
You could say that about Marvel.
And that's the thing. It's the same kind of thing. Marvel, exactly. It's the same kind of thing. And there's been a lot of like people try to like spin and make it political and all this. It has nothing to do with that. They're bad stories.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that was set up. You know, has like with Star Wars especially, it has been around. In Marvel, the same thing. It's been around for like 50 years. We've had these certain
and they throw it out the window.
They're just throwing it out the window,
Yeah.
and I don't like that. But I was listening to some guys talk about it, and they're like, you know, if you disagree with, what's going on, it's becoming cool to hate Star Wars. You can't call yourself a Star Wars fan because you're just hating Star Wars. I'm like, no, I like Star Wars. I don't like what they're doing right now. And then I started like thinking about it because I'm like, I think that happens with the Browns. Because
I like the Browns.
I really like the Browns, and then it starts to become like, if you say anything bad about the Browns, like, oh, you're not a Browns fan.
I know people said that to me in the past. How can you're not a real
Yes.
Browns
Yeah,
fan?
and it's like, no.
Screw you. Where were you in the 60s?
right.
But I enjoy
Well,
I enjoy having a team like this that I can feel like I know. We follow the players. We, I don't know.
You got more
fun.
skin in the game.
Yeah,
and then when
becomes fun.
Stefanski does a bonehead move, you're like,
yeah, it makes it
It
worse.
hurts.
like
Yeah,
a
it
knife
hurts
to the
worse.
gut.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it somehow becomes personal. Like I was listening to somebody.
Nah.
Well, that's
true.
what happens.
That's
I was
true.
listening to
Yeah.
somebody a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "You would think it was our money that Deshaun Watson was getting. Like they're not
well,
going
it is.
into."
He pays for the tickets, pay for his salary.
Yeah, but I'm not
but
buying
I mean,
tickets.
Haslam
I mean,
Haslam's fronting a lot.
we
of that.
complain about how much money some of these players are getting as if it's coming out of our own bank
Right.
account, and I
no,
mean, it's like
immoral.
that's
to
what I agree. Yes.
Pay people the moon,
Yes.
and just because they're showing up, like
Yeah.
that $230 million for Watson, that's an abomination.
Well,
man.
and it
that
has
should have
changed.
never happened.
It has
And
changed
they were like,
football.
"Oh, he's the greatest quarterback there ever was, man." And he had one good year with the Texans.
Yeah.
That's his career. Nobody wants to look at that.
Yeah.
They think, "Oh, his potential."
No,
Okay,
that's
one
what they
good
be
year
saying.
and all this potential, man.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's bull.
Yeah, well, and this is why, that article you were reading before where they were talking about, he needs to embrace the fact that everybody's rating him lower and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about, because by this point, the national view is that, he's done nothing. He's not.
You
He
can't
hasn't
fool him,
proved
man.
himself
I mean,
When you look at
Yeah.
the rankings, how they're ranking them in fantasy, how they're ranking them in, in points, and
he's
all
not
that.
going to let you down.
Yeah.
He's going to get out there and see them big 400-pound guys coming at him, and he's going to get hurt.
Yeah, well,
And that's it.
I
You
hope
should
not.
see him,
I hope
Mary Kay.
not.
You should see him throwing in practice, man. He's making these great throws. Nobody is coming after him.
right.
So
right.
how hard is that? Like a high school kid could do that. There's no challenge in that.
Yeah.
Send a big bruiser after him, going to plow him into the ground. Let's see what he does then.
Yeah.
pressure.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what we got to wait and see.
Well, it's exciting.
It doesn't take a
Yeah.
genie, to realize that he's not going to do well with that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. He's got a lot to prove. Even
that's an
with
understatement.
all of the money that he's getting paid, there's all of these guys. Every professional athlete has an ego, and he's not any different than any of these other guys. And I don't think that he's going to be okay going out of the NFL with the highest paid contract in history, especially in Brown's history, and not winning. So I don't think he's going to be like, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines.
Well,
and,
they say, man, his heart's really into it. He's out there busting his butt.
Yeah,
he's ahead of
because
schedule.
he's got an ego and he's got a reputation now that he's got to maintain and uphold.
He bought the team Rolexes.
Yes.
He took them on trips. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, he didn't
what
do
kind
that
of crap
recently.
is that?
He did,
Yeah,
he's
we don't
taking
know
care
what
of your
he-
Love
boys.
me, man.
He's
Love
taking
me.
care of his
they all
boys.
do that.
Come on, they all do
They
that.
do.
They
All
don't
those
all
quarter-
buy him Rolexes.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes what did he buy? Everybody's shoes. He bought them
They
all
got
that stuff.
golf carts.
There we go, golf carts. He bought everybody, bought them all golf carts.
So Deshaun got to visit the golf cart store.
Yeah, that's what he's got to do.
Come on, Deshaun, get with the program.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of a fun gift. I think
There
that
you
was
go.
sort of cool.
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys.
All right.
I didn't mean to get you all lit up, but it's always
Yes, you
fun.
did. Yes,
Go
you
on.
did. You said
Started.
football. It was like, this will get
I was
him
talking
going.
about soccer.
Oh, we can talk about soccer. We're in Copa America right now. United States is playing tonight. I'm watching it. By the
Go
time
Messi. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think we're wrapping
Let's
it
wrap
up.
it up.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for listening to Coffee with the Kays. This has been another fine episode. And be sure that you check out our other episodes and don't miss an episode. So subscribe, like this video, and comment with any questions you might have or things that you'd like to see in future episodes. Music is provided off of Kaye Struction, the album Kaye Struction by Ron Kaye. You can get that everywhere you get music. And thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.